Anthony, my clock is off. No, mine doesn't say that. Mine says 2:48. Yeah, no, it's on your. Good afternoon and welcome to the November 16 notice study session for the Palm Desert City Council. City Manager Heilman, which topic shall we take up first?
I think we're going to start today with an update to council on the Mid-Valley Channel activities, and I'll turn it over to Randy Chavez.
And before we begin, Anthony, was there something you wanted to address?
So I'm going to reflect that let the record reflect that all council members are present, with the exception of Mayor Pro Tem Quintanilla, who is participating remotely. And Mayor Pro Tem, could you please indicate the reason for your need to remote participate?
Thank you very much, Mr. City Clerk. I am under the weather and would like to not share my germs with my peers or any member of staff. I am participating from City Hall, from the location of my office. There is no one above the age of 18 or anyone else present in compliance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. I'm Randy Chavez, Deputy Director of Public Works. Back up here. And today we're going to give a brief presentation on the Mid-Valley Channel. Specifically, we're going to focus on the cleanup and repair efforts and also the action steps we are taking. So just to review what occurred during Tropical Storm Hillary, a high peak flow from the Morongo Valley Basin caused an unprecedented amount of water to flow east to the Coachella Valley, as indicated on the map. Debris and mud from Tropical Storm Hillary impacted drainage infrastructure, specifically in the north section of the city. One of the areas impacted was the Mid-Valley Channel east of Cook Street. But to date, there are 5 channels in that area, and 4 of them have been desilted. And by desilting the channel, that entails bringing an excavator in the channel and removing all the sediment. Up to 5 feet of mud and debris has been removed from each of the channels. Another area impacted was the Section 29 retention basin. And as reference, so we have a map here to show where it's located. It's on Portola Avenue, north of Dinah Shore, there on the west side by the railroad tracks. And this, the cleanup efforts here was a group effort. We started off by sending our street staff to access and repair the service road. Then we started draining the basin, followed by having a contractor go in and desilting the channel that runs parallel to the basin itself. Along with desilting the channel, we also cleaned the spillway and a culvert that leads drains into the basin. And last but not least, what we're working on now is getting Freedom Park ready for folks to enjoy. So what we're doing, what we have done was we're repairing the pickleball courts. That should be done by the end of December. We're also removing debris and sediment from landscape areas, walkways, and around the snack bar We have a lot of folks walking the park, and we want to make sure that it's safe for them to enjoy. This week, we also started repairing the wall and the sidewalk that was destroyed by the storm. That's in the northeast section of the park by the baseball fields. And within the next 2 weeks, we are going to have a contractor begin to remove the mud and debris from the baseball fields themselves. So they're currently mobilizing and getting ready for that. To discuss the action steps, I'm going to introduce City Engineer Mike Rowe.
Welcome.
Madam Mayor, fellow council members, I'm very happy to be your new city engineer and to stand up here to kind of follow up with what Randy said about some of the next steps that we're looking at to see if we can't help alleviate some of this situation if it happens in the future. You know, as Randy was talking about, he's working to clean up all those areas down there along the northern border, I'll say, of the city. We're also working with the university and the railroad to be able to come up with some other alternatives to be able to increase the retention capacity and then also create maybe what we're going to call an evacuation channel to help move the water through the city instead of just have it piled up and pond like it is. We're going to also produce a little bit more stringent inspection program so that we make sure that these facilities are functioning kind of before the rainy season, which in our case is usually in the summertime with the monsoons. We do get rain in the wintertime, so it'll be a system just to make sure that what we have in place is going to be able to meet the standards that they were designed to. Obviously with the coming up with an ordinance also to work on that, so we have a little bit more teeth if we need to go in there and help enforce those actions. We're talking about the expansion of the Section 29 retention basin that's in the works to be able to add some more capacity. Again, looking at acquiring some properties for retention basins as necessary. We're engaging one of our on-call engineering firms to then go in and evaluate this area to see where exactly those facilities we best place, and hopefully probably by, I'll say, the first quarter next year, we'll have a solution. We'll come back in and give you some ideas about what we're thinking about doing. And then we're also seeking some grants to help fund some of these facilities. One of them that we just applied for is for what we're calling pedestrian connectivity, which can also serve as a overflow channel so that we can, if we're going to build these facilities, let's try to use a dual function for them. There's a couple other grants that we can use that we're going to be applying for that if we do build these basins, that they're kind of functional park basins. I don't want to say like Freedom Park, even though it is like Freedom Park, that they will serve as a passive recreational facility, but can also act as a flood control facility. So with that, we'll conclude our program. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Councilmember Truby.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Going back to the Mid-Valley Channel, the desilting, I guess we'll call it, with the 5-foot removal of 5 feet of silt, would that be considered a restoration or improvement upon its pre-Hillary sort of dimensions?
It's probably going to be more concern of a restoration. The silt that came down obviously came down from the foreign area. So we've got the silt that's not like our sand, and it doesn't percolate the water, which is why Randy's having trouble trying to dewater it. So we've got to get that out of there and get it back down to its original depth so it has the same capacity.
Yes.
Hi, I was in a meeting last week, energy and environmental meeting, and it got cut short, but we were talking about all the silt that's down valley and what it's doing once we get the slightest of winds. Now it used to be 25 miles an hour winds would create a health advisory, and now it's down to 12 miles an hour. And do you think the silt and all of this will be removed by the time the spring winds?
I'll let Randy answer that, but that's the goal.
Yes. So what we're doing with the silt, a lot of the excess spoils, we do have a lot of cavities and voids where the water eroded, specifically in the north section of the city. So we're actually filling in those voids, as Mike mentioned, as a restoration. So we're doing that. And then we also have a contractor. Once we're completed with the work, we're going to go and seal the area. So that'll help with the excess material especially during the high wind season. So are we going to solve 100% of the problem? We're not, but we are going to do our best to keep it at a minimum.
Thank you, Randy.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First off, excellent question, Councilmember Nastande. As somebody who deals with respiratory issues such as today, I appreciate that concern. My question is in regards to a potential ordinance. Is there something in place in other cities, or is this something brand new that the staff would be creating, as you said, to add some teeth to compliance?
It's probably going to be a combination of both. We'll take a look at what some of the other cities have done and then enhance that to make it kind of customized for our city.
Thank you.
You had mentioned ceiling. What does that mean?
So what we do, it's essentially it's material that's approved by the EPA. So what happens, you mix it in your water truck, and then you essentially spread it. If you drive any of the areas in the valley, you'll see some of these vacant areas that have a blue kind of tint to it. That's what it is.
Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. And are we ready for an update on Haystack Traffic Calming?
Yes, we are.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Ryan Gaylor with the Capital Projects Division. We'll do a quick update on the Haystack Traffic Calming efforts. Phase 1 of the project has already been completed, which installed 3 stop signs on the street between Highway 74 and Portola Avenue. We've received feedback from some of the residents indicating that the stop signs have reduced the amount of high-speed traffic on that street. Phase 2 is going to add high visibility crosswalks to cross Haystack, and it'll reconfigure the bike lanes. The city's considered several different styles of bike lanes, and we wanted to show you what has been deemed the preferred alternative. As I said, the second phase is going to construct curb ramps and crosswalks at the intersections. Haystack will also be slurry sealed and restriped to create a painted buffer between the bike lanes and the vehicular travel lanes. Originally, the design engineer had proposed a Class 4 cycle track along the north side of Haystack. But upon review by the city engineer and the city's contract traffic engineer, they concluded that this is not the best location for the Class 4 cycle track. And in fact, we received feedback from some of the users of the area, some of the bicyclists, that they agreed that it wasn't the right application for this location. The city had a couple public meetings where we solicited feedback from the residents, and the participants preferred this alternative where the street will have parking lanes and bike lanes on both sides. So from Heliotrope to Highway 74, you can see that there's parking on both sides with 6-foot bike lanes and a 2-foot painted buffer. And then from Heliotrope going east towards Portola, the street will have just a parking lane on the south side of the street, then the 6-foot bike lanes and 4-foot painted buffers between the bike lanes and the travel lanes. Like I said, this is a very quick update. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So looking at, if we go back, thank you. I never see, and I'm on Grapevine a lot, or Haystack. I never see parking on the north side of Haystack. Is there some reason we think we're going to need it?
In the future, it could be that we need it, but what this also does is it narrows the street and provides sort of an illusion that encourages traffic to slow down. If drivers feel a little bit pinched down, it encourages lower speeds.
And how wide are they 12-foot wide currently? The lanes?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it makes sense. Thank you.
I think there's an additional benefit. People recreate in that catch basin. So if a child's ball went out into the street or a dog ran out into the street, at least that parking area would be allow some opportunity for an adult to intervene before they're right in the middle of traffic. So, yes.
Thank you, Ryan. What is the current speed limit on Haystack?
I believe the speed limit is 45.
And when you restripe or reconfigure the width of automobile lanes, are you allowed to revisit also the speed limits? Is that something under consideration, I guess? Two-part.
I can work with Bassam. It requires a speed survey in order to change the speed limit. And so if we're directed to do a speed survey, then we can do that and look into that option. But as it stands right now, I don't believe that we're planning to do that.
So there's no public outcry for lowering the speed limit from local residents or anything?
Not significant.
Thank you, Ryan.
Good afternoon.
Good
Mayor and
afternoon.
members of the City Council. I'm Thomas Soul, your Public Affairs Manager, and I'm here to talk to you about the City Seal. So just to give a little context, I wanted to differentiate between the City Seal and the city logo. And the logo is the one that you see up on the screen right now. This is something that we originally used only for marketing purposes. But over the past few years, we've been using it for more and more applications across the city other than official city uses. So the City Seal is primarily used for letterhead, official documents, things pertaining to the city clerk's office that need that official seal. The City Seal, this is the original City Seal that you'll see here that was decided on in 1974. There's a black and white version and a color version. And this seal was updated at some point with a little softer colors, just made it a little gentler and filled it in. One of our challenges with this seal is that we don't have any original files of these seals. And so anytime that we need to do a physical representation of it, it's challenging because we don't have a high-res version of it, nor do we have a electronic version of this that we can manipulate. So we can't change the colors. We can't change really anything about it. So that problem, coupled with a council request for action, led us to where we are today. So the request was to maintain the seal, but simplify it a bit. It is a little busy in the middle and perhaps a little dated looking. And so our goal was to try to preserve the primary elements of the seal so that it's recognizable as the Palm Desert City Seal, but update it a little bit. And the point that we're at today is with this is not by any means a finalized version, but it's sort of a starting point for the conversation of this is how that might look. It's one way that it might look. And so the question is, would council like us to continue on with that process? If so, we would work with a designer to come up with some options that we would bring back to council for further refinement and direction and moving forward in this process.
Let's get some reactions. Councilmember Harnick.
Well, through the years I've been serving here, I'm sure that there are very few staff members or very few people who I've served with who don't know how I feel about the seal, the current seal. So I'm really glad to see that we are working to replace it. I love the direction it's going. I think you have a great starting point. I think it's terrific. I like the colors, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
Well, I might be in the minority opinion, but I do like the old seal slightly, but it's not a big issue that I would debate. But I like seeing the golf course or the green, the golfing, but that's my only comment.
I like the approach to updating the palm. I think that's right on point to keep that connection to the existing seal, but to freshen it. My general reaction is it's too dark. And I know we've made some very good use of artistic photos of just pre-dawn, which this harkens, with the outlines of dark palms. But the totality of the black palms and the purple hillside just leaves me feeling it's too dark when our actual experience of this area is bright and colorful and vibrant. This looks more like Death Valley.
Yeah, I echo the same thoughts and ideas there, that it is a little bit dark considering we're in a beautifully sunshiny area. And it to my first glance, it appeared a little naked. It was just, I don't know, kind of plain. Is the word I'm looking for, it needs to have sort of a mantra or a shibboleth. Is that the word I'm looking for? Like a
Make a word.
There we go. Something in Latin or something that some words that we stand by or live by, or something that kind of captures what Palm Desert's all about. I don't know. But it's going in the right direction. It's cleaner. But yeah, a little brighter would be nice. Absolutely.
I will point out that most of the time it's not giant up on a screen. Most of the places we use it, it's quite small.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I concur. And where it may be used seldomly, I think we see a lot of that on polo shirts and items that we wear. A lot of times they tend to be black. I think the contrast would make it very difficult to appreciate the work that has gone into it. And my understanding is this something staff generated, or it may have read that it may have come down to a contest. So if I can get a little bit more clarity, and also for people watching, of how we may have reached this option that was presented. I also agree that it looks more like a sunset. While we love our sunsets and we love sitting and looking at them, we want to encourage a vibrant daytime approach, which has already been said by my peers. I did notice that the change in the palms has removed the dates, which were what was hanging. And I understand that was potentially nod to all of the date groves that were in the park or in the area that is over by the aquatic center, which COD used to harvest and be part of their sale. And I know that as we have talked about going to more native landscape, I do recognize and appreciate that we have made that change. Is there a way to make it the opposite colors and make that more gold, since we have seen the tradition, or for example, the logo has that vibrant goldenrod? Is there a way to keep that consistency with the marketing so that streams along and keeps that? So maybe flip that and have the underlying part where it says Palm Desert, and I love the 19 and 73 after. Would it be possible to invert those colors? Is that something that's been explored? And I do, additionally, I'm always harking on the ADA, and yes, it would be a small logo, but in places where it would be larger, I like the contrast when possible. Thank you.
And Councilmember Harnick.
Thank you so much. I just want to point out again that, and I hear some great ideas, that this is a starting point, which I recognize. So now you have a lot of great feedback, but it's clean, it's elegant. Before it was very busy. And I think we have a really good place to start from.
Thank you for that feedback. We definitely can explore some different coloring options and contrast options. And this was a very quick job to put together a thought of how it might look. I also didn't point out that we replaced the font along the bottom of that one, matches what's in the logo to kind of provide that continuity. So what I'm hearing is that it would be good to keep moving forward with this, so we'll do so. And if I'm interpreting correctly, and then we'll bring back some options, pulling this feedback in.
Maybe some verbena on the hillside.
I'm making it.
I like that. I like that. Thank you.
All right. Anything further for the study session?
That was it today. Yep.
Please be back sharp at 4.